The teddy bear's glass eye caught the light as she clutched it, mud caking her fingers and designer dress. In that moment, everything changed for James Harrington. What should have been just another failed blind date suddenly became the most important encounter of his life. How did this disheveled woman have Lily's beloved Mr. Snuggles, the stuffed bear that had disappeared along with his daughter 5 years ago? If you're feeling that chill down your spine already, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories that prove truth is stranger than fiction. This one will take you on an emotional journey you won't soon forget. James Harrington checked his Rolex for the third time in 5 minutes. 8:15. His blind date was officially 45 minutes late, and his patience was wearing thinner than the ice in his untouched scotch. The maitre d' at Elysium, San Francisco's most exclusive restaurant, had already given him several sympathetic glances. At 42, James had built a tech empire worth billions, but since losing his daughter Lily, he'd lost interest in everything except work. This blind date had been his sister Catherine's idea. "It's been 5 years, James. Lily would want you to live again," she'd insisted while setting him up with her colleague from the hospital. He signaled for the check, deciding to cut his losses. Dating was pointless anyway. No one could understand the hollow space in his chest where his heart used to be before his 6-year-old daughter vanished during a camping trip. The police had eventually closed the case, but James never stopped searching, never stopped hoping. As he signed the bill, commotion erupted at the restaurant entrance. A woman was arguing with the host, her voice rising above the elegant piano music. James glanced over, then quickly looked away. The woman was a disaster, her dark hair wild, her blue dress splattered with mud, and no shoes on her feet. "Please, I know I look terrible, but I have a reservation." "Harrington, table for 2, she pleaded. James froze. This mud-covered catastrophe was his date? Dr. Elena Reyes, the brilliant pediatric surgeon his sister couldn't stop praising? The host was firmly but politely trying to turn her away when James reluctantly stood. Social obligation and curiosity compelled him to acknowledge her, though he had already decided this evening was over before it began. "I'm James Harrington," he said, approaching them. "She's with me." Elena's face flooded with relief. "Thank God. I'm so sorry I'm late. My car broke down on that dirt road by the bay, and then it started raining, and my phone died, and I had to walk 2 miles in heels until they broke, and..." She stopped, taking a breath. "I'm Elena. This is not how I usually show up for dates." James nodded stiffly. "Clearly this isn't going to work. I can call you a car." That's when he noticed what she was clutching against her mud-stained dress. A worn teddy bear with one glass eye and a tiny red bow tie. The other eye was missing, replaced by a button that didn't quite match. The left ear was slightly singed, and there was a small patch on its belly where the fabric had been repaired. James felt the blood drain from his face. He knew every imperfection of that bear. He had sewn on that mismatched button himself after Lily had cried when the original eye fell off. The singed ear was from when the bear had fallen too close to their campfire the summer before she disappeared. "Where did you get that?" His voice came out as a whisper. Elena looked down at the bear in confusion. "This? I found it today. That's actually why I was late. There was this little girl selling lemonade by the children's hospital. She had this bear propped up next to her stand. Something about it just called to me. I know it sounds crazy, but I felt like I needed to buy it from her." She shrugged. "I paid her $20 for it. She said her older brother gave it to her." James reached out with trembling hands. "May I?" Elena handed him the bear, watching curiously as he turned it over with the precision of a jeweler examining a rare diamond. When he found what he was looking for, his knees nearly buckled. There, on the bottom of the bear's foot, written in faded permanent marker, were the initials, L.H. Lily Harrington. "Sir, are you okay?" the host asked, noticing James's sudden pallor. James looked up at Elena, seeing her clearly for the first time. Behind the mud and dishevelment was a woman with kind eyes and a concerned expression. "This bear belonged to my daughter," he said, his voice breaking. "She disappeared 5 years ago. No one has seen her, or this bear, since." Elena's hand flew to her mouth. "Oh my God. I need to know exactly where you found this girl. What she looked like. Everything." The host, sensing the gravity of the moment, quickly ushered them to James's table, away from curious onlookers. Elena described the girl in detail, about 11 years old, with dark hair in braids, selling lemonade outside the hospital fence. She mentioned an older teenage boy who had briefly stopped by, whom the girl had called her brother. She said they lived nearby. That she sets up her stand there every Tuesday and Thursday, Elena added. James clutched the bear, his mind racing. 5 years of private investigators, rewards, and endless searching had yielded nothing. Now, by some miracle, this mud-covered woman he had been ready to dismiss had walked into his life with the first real clue. "I need to go there. Now." He stood abruptly. Elena nodded, understanding immediately. "I'll take you. I know exactly where it was." They left the restaurant together, James barely noticing the stairs as he helped Elena into his Bentley. The bear sat between them like a talisman, a bridge between past and possible future. The lemonade stand was gone when they arrived, the street dark except for the glow of streetlights. James felt despair creeping back in until Elena pointed to a small apartment building across from the hospital. She said she lived nearby. "It has to be one of these buildings." For 3 hours, they went door to door, showing a photo of Lily and the bear. Most people were sympathetic but couldn't help. Some didn't answer. James's hope dimmed with each closed door. On the 3rd floor of the second building, an elderly woman recognized the bear. "Oh, that belongs to the little girl in 3C. Sweet child. Her brother brings her to visit me sometimes." James's heart thundered in his chest as they approached apartment 3C. He raised his hand to knock, then hesitated, suddenly terrified. What if it wasn't Lily? What if it was, but she didn't remember him? What if whoever had taken her was inside? Elena gently placed her hand on his arm. "Whatever happens, you're not alone in this moment." Her touch steadied him. He knocked. The door opened to reveal a teenage boy, maybe 17, with wary eyes that widened at the sight of the bear in James's hands. "Where did you get that?" the boy demanded. "Your sister sold it today," Elena explained gently. "I'm the one who bought it." The boy's face paled. "You need to leave." As he tried to close the door, a small voice called from inside. "Danny? Who is it?" James felt the world tilt. He knew that voice, even with the changes 5 years would bring. "Lily," he called, his voice breaking. There was a moment of silence, then the sound of running feet. The boy, Danny, tried to block the doorway, but he was too late. A girl with dark braids peered around him, her eyes finding first the bear, then lifting to James's face. Time stopped. Her eyes, Lily's eyes, widened in confusion, then recognition, then disbelief. "Daddy," she whispered. James fell to his knees, unable to stand under the weight of that single word. "Lily. My Lily." She pushed past Danny and threw herself into James's arms, sobbing. He held her as if she might disappear again, his own tears flowing freely. "I knew you'd find me," she cried. "I knew you'd come." The story that unfolded over the next hours was both heartbreaking and miraculous. Danny wasn't a kidnapper, he was a victim himself. At 12, he had rescued 7-year-old Lily from their abusive foster father, who had taken them camping near where Lily had disappeared. Recognizing a fellow foster child in distress, Danny had helped her escape, grabbing only her teddy bear as they fled into the woods. For 5 years, they had survived on their own, Danny using forged papers to rent cheap apartments, working under-the-table jobs, and keeping them both under the radar. He had become the big brother Lily never had, protecting her fiercely while trying to give her some semblance of a normal childhood. "I wanted to find her real family," Danny explained, his voice hollow as police officers and social workers filled the small apartment. "But I was afraid they'd separate us. That they'd send me back into the system and I wouldn't be able to protect her anymore." James looked at the boy who had saved and raised his daughter when he couldn't. Instead of anger, he felt profound gratitude. "You brought her back to me," James said, placing a hand on Danny's shoulder. "You kept her safe when I couldn't. I will never forget that." As dawn broke over San Francisco, James sat in a hospital waiting room, Lily asleep against his shoulder. Elena, still in her mud-stained dress, returned with coffee. "The social worker says Danny will likely be placed in a group home," she said quietly. "He's almost 18, but still legally a minor." James looked down at his sleeping daughter, then at the boy who sat alone across the room, shoulders hunched as if waiting for punishment rather than the commendation he deserved. "Not if I can help it," James said firmly. "He's family now." Elena smiled, the first real smile he'd seen from her. Despite the mud and exhaustion, she was beautiful. "You know," James said, "this wasn't exactly how I imagined our blind date going." Elena laughed softly. "I think we can safely say it was memorable. I'd like to try again. Maybe without the mud and life-altering revelations." "I'd like that too," she said, her eyes warm. James reached for her hand, feeling something he hadn't felt in 5 years, hope. The teddy bear sat on the chair beside them, its mismatched eyes witnessing the beginning of something new. 6 months later, James stood in the backyard of his Marin County home, watching as Lily taught Danny how to serve a tennis ball. The courts had been Danny's idea, a way to help Lily make the school team. The adoption papers for Danny had been finalized the week before, making official what they had all known from the beginning: they were family. Elena appeared beside him, slipping her hand into his. "Penny, for your thoughts?" "Just thinking about how differently this all could have gone," he said. "If you hadn't been late, if you hadn't bought that bear, if you hadn't insisted on helping me that night." "Some things are meant to be," she said simply. James turned to face her, taking both her hands in his. "I've been thinking about that a lot lately. About fate and second chances." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. "And I've been thinking that maybe we should make this family official." Elena's eyes widened as he opened the box to reveal a diamond ring. "Elena Reyes, you brought my daughter back to me. You helped me find my heart again. Will you marry me?" Her answer was lost in the cheers from Lily and Danny, who had apparently been watching the whole time. As they rushed over to embrace them, James felt the completeness of the circle. From loss to discovery, from emptiness to fullness. And it had all started with a mud-covered woman and a one-eyed teddy bear. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more incredible true stories that remind us that hope is never truly lost. Sometimes, our greatest blessings come disguised as our worst disappointments, and the things we think we've lost forever are just waiting to be found again.